This is our countdown of the top 10 upcoming PlayStation 4 single-player games in 2016. From huge exclusives to long-awaited games, if you like your solo experiences, there's a lot of great games to pick from. Let's get right into this with number 10. Number 10, Rise of the Tomb Raider. Well, at this point, Rise of the Tomb Raider is over 6 months old. Xbox One got the game first, and it's been on PC for a bit too. PS4 players won't get the game until this fall, and even though some of the luster of the game has come off, Rise of the Tomb Raider was an exceptional game. Fans of the 2013 reboot will absolutely love this game. It did everything that game did, but better. Better writing and story, a bigger world, more variety in gameplay. Hopefully, Square Enix decides to bundle in all of the DLC with the PS4 version to entice gamers a bit more. Regardless, even being a late release, this is one worth your time. Rise of the Tomb Raider is set for a release Q4 this year. Number 9, Nioh. Nioh is a historical action RPG being developed by Team Ninja, the guys that are best known for the Ninja Gaiden games. Nioh was actually announced back in 2004 with an expected release date of summer 2006. Obviously, that didn't pan out. The game went MIA for several years until it was re-revealed at the Tokyo Game Show in 2015. And it looked fantastic. Mixing Dark Souls gameplay with Onimusha aesthetics, the game has a lot of potential, and judging by the demo, it's shaping up pretty nicely. Nioh will also have frame rate and resolution options, something that would be more typical in a PC game, but it's nice to see a console game giving the player the same options. Nioh is set to release sometime this year. Number 8, Mirror's Edge Catalyst. Mirror's Edge Catalyst is a follow-up to 2008's cult classic Mirror's Edge, and while it's not a direct sequel, rather it's an origin story of the main character Faith. Since it's been 8 years since the last game, expect some drastic changes in Catalyst. From the gorgeous visuals, the open-world city of glass, and the refined combat, Mirror's Edge Catalyst is shaping up to be a terrific game. This game will also do away with the gunplay that was in the original game, which is a good thing because using guns just felt so out of place in Mirror's Edge. The beta gave us a glimpse of Catalyst and it was great. Hopefully the rest of the game can live up when the game releases on June 7th.
We call for backup. We got a breacher and subjugation process. Got it, Control.
Number 7, Dishonored 2. Dishonored was one of the surprise hits of last generation, having a unique mix of stealth gameplay and RPG elements. It was a really good game. Now comes the sequel, Dishonored 2. You'll have the option to play as Emily Caldwin or Corvo Attano, who was the protagonist from the first game. Both characters go through the same series of missions, but through different paths and perspectives. We still don't know a ton about Dishonored 2. We do know that the game will be releasing on November 11th. Number 6, Mafia 3. Mafia 2 is one of the more forgotten games of last generation. That game had terrific writing with a great story and engaging characters. After 6 years, we're finally getting Mafia 3, set in 1968 New Orleans. The story revolves around Lincoln Clay, a war veteran seeking revenge for the murdering of his friends. Unlike Mafia 2, which was a fairly linear game, Mafia 3 will feature a full-blown open world allowing players to explore all of New Orleans. Mafia 3 does appear a bit more big budget and actiony than the previous game. That might turn some off, but we'll have to wait and see how the game turns out when it releases on October 7th. Number 5, The Last Guardian. When you talk about games that have been stuck in development hell, one that will often be brought up is The Last Guardian. The latest game from famed developers Team Ico. Those are the guys that made Ico and Shadow of the Colossus, two of the best PlayStation 2 games of all time. The Last Guardian was announced back at Sony's E3 conference in 2009. It went missing for 6 years until it was finally re-revealed at last year's E3. The game follows the story of a young boy and Trico, who is a giant bird-dog-cat hybrid. Team Ico has made some extremely emotional games, and you shouldn't expect Last Guardian to be any different. Let's just hope the long wait was worth it. The Last Guardian is scheduled to be released this year. Number 4, Persona 5. Persona has never been a gigantic franchise within gaming. JRPGs is a relatively niche genre, and Persona has always carved out a pretty small fan base. However, in recent years, it seems as if the popularity of Persona has been growing, and what's funny is we haven't seen a brand new entry in the series since 2008's Persona 4. After 8 years, we're finally getting a new game with Persona 5. For those unfamiliar to Persona, it's a JRPG where you play as a transfer high school student, and not only do you do the typical dungeon exploring, but you also just live out the year of a high schooler, go to class, join clubs, etc. While initially that might sound dumb, it's actually done really well and adds a lot of variety to the gameplay, which is good because these games are sometimes north of 100 hours. Persona 5 does appear a bit dark in the story, and aesthetically it looks fantastic. The game releases sometime at the end of the year. Number 3, Horizon Zero Dawn. Guerrilla Games has been one of Sony's top developers for the last decade, best known for their work on the Killzone games. Now they're moving on to something completely different, Horizon Zero Dawn. A post-apocalyptic action RPG where the world is dominated by mechanical creatures such as mech dinosaurs. From the gameplay we've seen thus far, it does seem much more like an action game than an RPG. The RPG elements are said to be between Assassin's Creed and Skyrim. The world does look amazing, and we know that it will feature a dynamic day and night cycle as well as a weather system. Guerrilla has also stated that the game will have no loading screens, which is great for an open world title. There have been rumblings that Horizon has been delayed until 2017, but as far as now, the release is still slated for 2016. Hopefully it stays that way.
Got it.
Number 2, Deus Ex: Mankind Divided. The cyberpunk genre is one of the more untapped settings in gaming. Deus Ex is one of the only major cyberpunk games. Good thing is that it's awesome. Deus Ex Human Revolution was a terrific game, and now we have the sequel, Deus Ex: Mankind Divided. Mankind Divided is set 2 years after Human Revolution. You once again play as Adam Jensen. Augmentations have begun to be looked down upon, and those that are augmented are demanding equality, causing a gigantic conflict. Not to mention, there's also an Illuminati concealing truths behind the public. Jensen is stuck in the middle of all of this and must appease the conflict, but also uncover the truth behind the Illuminati. Gameplay will be similar to Human Revolution, but also refined, adding in more variety and options. This time around, the entire game can be completed without killing a single enemy, bosses included. Deus Ex: Mankind Divided releases on August 23rd.
In order to get important information.
And finally, number 1, Final Fantasy 15. Another game that is brought up often when talking about development hell is Final Fantasy 15. It was originally announced back in 2006 as Final Fantasy Versus 13, and the following years were an absolute roller coaster. Well, now the game is closer than ever, and over the years has developed into the most ambitious JRPG ever. From a technical standpoint, this is up there with the best looking console games ever. And when you consider the scope of Final Fantasy 15 having these gigantic worlds, it's absolutely staggering what Square Enix is attempting. The combat is more fast paced compared to previous games, being a bit more like Kingdom Hearts. As long as the story and writing are up to par, Final Fantasy 15 has potential to be a huge landmark for Square Enix. We'll know soon enough, as Final Fantasy 15 is scheduled to release on September 30th.
Stand by.
So that wraps up our countdown of the top 10 upcoming PlayStation 4 single-player games. What do you think? What single-player games are you the most excited for? Let us know in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.